Hey guys, back up here the next day. It's now Thursday, and I'm working on untaping all this stuff off of the door jambs and everything. I've got my light sitting here next to it. Underneath the hood turned out pretty good, actually. A lot better than I thought it was, except for this big run right here. I couldn't leave well enough alone. I kept trying to get some paint up underneath this lip and everything, and of course, next thing you know, but it's under the hood. I think we'll put a how to change your oil sticker or something over it so it doesn't show, because I'm not going to wet sand it. Like I said, not too bad for being under the hood. That's pretty acceptable, seeing there's no base coat clear coat. It's all single stage, so I got a pretty good gloss level on it. There's other areas down in here. Really, to do this right, the engine and all this stuff needs to come out to spray the entire engine bay, and at some point Brian and I may do that, but he just doesn't have the time right now. He's wanting to get the car back so he can start driving it a little bit and enjoy it before the season's over. So we'll just go ahead and get the outside done, and at some point we'll pull the engine if he decides he wants to do that, and do the rest of the engine bay and everything so it doesn't look kind of like that. But anyway, the paint actually turned out pretty good. It's kind of hard to spray around all this stuff, all the bolt heads and everything else. You just have to keep going back and looking at it from a different light and different sides and everything. That's why my painting was kind of choppy, trying to get everything in place. But yeah, overall it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Of course, I've still got to go around the rest of the car and remove all the masking and everything. So I'm going to turn the camera off and do that, and then I'll bring you guys back to show you the end result. I'll see you in a few. Okay guys, I got everything untaped. Got my light sitting here on this one. It actually turned out pretty good, especially since I didn't take this weather stripping off. It was so hard and brittle, I was really concerned about it breaking and not being able to put it back on. So we just left it in place and taped off around it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't see a lot of dry shot or anything in it, which is definitely a problem with single stage. You got to get it on there really wet in order to get it to flow out good. This is the passenger side door. I've just got the door panel sitting on it now to make sure that I didn't leave anything uncovered. Of course, there's a dent. Those are always free. But the bottoms of the doors and everything, of course, it's got a little dirt on it now. Turned out pretty good after I did the all metal and everything on the edges. Let's take the door panel back off. As you can see, I didn't paint the entire door, just the areas that we're going to show, and it actually turned out pretty good. I'll make up a plastic water shield to go on the inside of the door frame or door body here for him to keep the water from eating at his door panels. I noticed I didn't get real good coverage down in around the inside of the hinge bodies here. That's always a real tough place to try and get paint, because no matter which direction you shoot it in, it's always going to bounce off of something else. But it's got a coat over it, so at least it's protected from the elements and rust now. It's at least as good as what you'd get if you shot it with them on the car. So that one's pretty good. Then the driver's side door, the one that was the meat axe on the bottom, it turned out pretty good as well. I was actually able to get a little bit more paint in the areas around the hinge and stuff on this one. I guess I was just a little luckier on it. Then the bottom here, where all that rust and stuff was, I got it ground out real smooth and filled it with the all metal filler. So at least it looks presentable for now. You know, it'll get him by for a couple of years. But eventually it will come back and still have to have a door skin on it, but at least it's in pretty good shape for now. Here's the, find a way to do it without getting it all glary. That light that I put the aluminum foil in, I had several old broken office chairs, and I got to think about how you guys had done it, particularly the way Tommy Shoe had done his, and built like a rolling system with some conduit on it to mount the lights on. I don't have enough room in here to mount them sideways, and I thought, well, I had a piece of this old shelving like goes on these shelving units I've got over here, and it was just about the right size to fit down inside of the chair base. I just had to put a couple of wraps of duct tape around it to get it to fit, and then there's actually a bolt-in leg in the bottom of it we used to level it. Went through the bottom frame of the chair so it's extremely sturdy. I just used a couple of 1/4-inch bolts, went through the areas that weren't critical on the light fixture and bolted them to it, and then put me a cord on it. So now I've got a pretty portable work light. Pretty handy. I've got a couple more bases, so I think I'm going to make a couple more of these when we get ready to paint the car. Of course, a lot of this stuff's going to have to come out of here before that point. But it works pretty good. I mean, you can pretty much move it wherever you want. Here's a little view of the door jambs. Well, that's the only bad side about it. The floor's not exactly level and it tends to roll away from you. They turned out pretty good, even up in the fender wells. I'm not sure how much you're seeing of that. The way that light's set, I'm not sure. It's hard for me to see. There we go. But I even got it, you know, the back edges of the fender is pretty good. There's still a little bit of gray back in there, but it's very difficult to get the gun angled just right to try and shoot down in there without hitting the hinges. But it's definitely got a pretty good coat of paint on it, and it looks nice and shiny. Of course, as always the case, I got a little bit of dust down along the bottom here, which is always what takes a beating anyway. Once you put the weather stripping and the doors and everything back on, I think it'll be fine. The areas back here around where the door latch and stuff turned out real well. It's got a real nice gloss level to it, and once you put the weather stripping back on the doors and everything, it'll be pretty cool. This up here was probably the most difficult area to try and get because of the proximity of here to here, trying to get paint down in there on this edge, down in here, and then up on this edge. And there's a body seam where this metal wraps over this. So trying to get paint up underneath this edge right here was kind of a pain in the rear end. I went on both sides and tried to shoot paint all the way around it. It was definitely a challenge because of it being such a small area. But I got everything unmasked now, and it looks like I got pretty good coverage. So I'm pretty happy with that. I, of course, took the weather stripping off, so that gave me more room. It was even more crowded with the weather stripping sitting on it. Like I said, there's a little dust in it. Of course, the bad thing about this acrylic enamel, I can't buff it. You know, I'd be afraid to. When we shoot the car, I'm still thinking about putting a coat of clear on it, the way I did the red Mustang that I painted. I've got some of this LC4000 Limco clear coat and the hardener and stuff for it. And I thought about putting a couple of coats of that over it right after we spray the color and it tacks off. So if something happens that we needed to do a little buffing on it, we'd have some meat there to work with. So, and of course back here's the trunk. This was kind of fun too, going around all these hinges and getting all these different elevations with the metal covered in paint. And I'm sure there's still areas, yep, like right there, right underneath that ledge that I didn't get real good. Very difficult to spray around. Even down inside of this channel here was painting the rear end too. All of this up here gets covered with the chrome trim. I didn't get it as glossy as I would have liked, but I got a good coverage of paint on it, and the trim goes over that anyway. The rest of the jam turned out pretty good. The underneath of the trunk lid, I'm pretty happy with it. There's a couple little places that's a little hazy where I didn't get quite enough paint on it, get it really, really wet. But overall, I mean, it's a trunk. Hey, it's going to look pretty good, I think. So, well, I'm sure I've bored you guys long enough again. I appreciate all the great comments and everything for the last couple of videos. You guys made me laugh. That was awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed reading the comments and everything that you guys had to say about it. It was really funny. So I'll turn you guys off, and then hopefully the next video I make will be something a little bit more interesting. I'm not sure we'll be quite ready to spray the car yet, but hopefully we'll have something for you to see. Talk to you later.